Hello, today I'm going to be showing you how to create a basic scatter geometry nodes that can be used in different scenes for scatter wherever you want in a surface like rocks, grass, trees, and create the variety of landscape as you want. And you just need to create that once, right? And I will show you how to have all of them available anytime. And I will not be using the new asset browser because I still don't know how to use that. It's pretty simple, but it's not the scope of this video. Okay, so basically the first thing you have to do in this scene, you just have this collection. I just had created those objects and put all of them inside one collection, one single collection, right? You can tell that for all of them, all the pivot it's under the base. You can see here, this point means that the pivot is here. If you want to change the pivot, because this will be taken to scatter your object. If you want to change, you press just Control Point on your keyboard, and then you change it a bit. I like to go a little bit inside the geometry because if my and to leave the mode, it's just Control Point again. I just like to have this a little bit inside the geometry because if I have a sloped surface and I want this to follow the normals, doing this I'm making sure that all the geometry will be inside the ground, which I can control by geometry nodes anyway. I just like to control this in this way before. Okay, you can even hide this from your geometry, it's not important. Let's create a plane. So we have a plane here, right? Let's snap the selection to the grid and world orange and select it to the world. So I just want to have these exactly in the middle of the world, but it's not necessary. It's just for visual here, right? First things, we just split it up, a tab in Blender. We go here in our mode and we choose geometry nodes editor, right? So now we have our geometry node here, and with my plane selected, I press new, and now I have the representation of my geometry in nodes. If I disconnect it here, it will be disconnected, right? This is a modifier created here, geometry nodes, right? You can even rename this to, I don't know, scatter, right? And your geometry nodes will be named here scatter. It's not necessary. I'm just being like picky. Okay, first thing, you have to scatter some points on top of the surface, and you have Shift A, press Shift A, go points, distribute points on surface, and then you press here, you see that your surface become point. Alright? But I still want to see my surface here, so I press Shift A again, go geometry, join geometry. So I'm gonna join my plane to the points. Now I have both. Alright? Let's take this guy here. And we have two modes of distributing points on surface. One is random, the other one is Poisson disk. I like Poisson disk because I can define the distance between the points, minimum distance, and I like to put 10 centimeters, right? And we have our maximum density over here. Alright? Awesome. Now we have to tell Blender what we want to scatter that. In my case, I will scatter one entire collection, not one object. I could have here, for example, a sphere, and then another thing. If you have in your scene other objects, and then you select some object by mistake, your geometry node, it's gone here. You have to select your objects again so you can see your geometry node. For you, do not have this kind of inconvenient workflow. You just pin your geometry nodes here while you are working on it, and now doesn't really matter, it will be always here. I like to do this way because, for example, the reason I'm gonna tell Blender what should be scattered here, and I can do this by dragging a collection or by dragging one object. So, you know, or I can go Shift A and go to Mesh, or go to Instance, or what else? Geometry. I don't even know how it calls. Mesh is mesh. I don't even know. There is a way here that you can. Let's look for object info. Let's say that's. So you can go this way, or you can just grab the object, drag and drop. You know, the same thing for the collection, right? So now if I go here, Shift A, go instances, and instance on point, I will try to tell Blender which instances will be scattered in those points, right? And if I grab my object here and connect here, we'll have a bunch of objects, and whatever you do in your object in edit mode, it will be translated. I'm just scaling down the object, but that's not my point, because I have an entire collection here with different models that I want to scatter them all of them all together. So I will just remove this guy. I don't want an object here. I want my collection. I would even delete this sphere here, and then I will drag and drop my collection, right? And the first thing you will notice, if you connect here, that you will not have the results that you expect to get, right? Why you will not have? Because your collection, it's been taken as an entire collection. First thing you have to do is if you put it here, you see your result, it's not gonna be, it's taking the entire collection and distributing in one place, because it's based on this, it's taking the whole thing. It's like the same as if they were taking it, if it's the same as if they were taking all these guys, right, and place them based on the original location. That's not what you want. You want them to be relative first. Why? Because now it's taking all of them and it's considering like each piece the relative position, not the original position of them. I like to reset children, right? And I use separate children, PAM. So now it's taking separate children. So this is basically taking the entire thing and put in one single place, right? In one single place on the points. All right? Let me explain you. If I take this guy and I move my pivot point, that will be moved, right? And this guy will be placed here all together, all of them, as if they were in the same position, right? The same location, okay? That's not what we want. We want the geometry nodes taking account each piece individually. That's so easy. You just need to pick instances. So now all of them is being considered isolated, right? Let's reduce the density here, okay? Okay, we have something basic. right? I want to show you something very basic. If you, whatever you start to go here, it will like scatter the same way randomly, okay? If you go, for example, up, that's ideal for trees, right? The normals here are ideal for trees because trees normally do not bend with the terrain, but grass, no. Grass and rocks normally has to follow the terrain. And for that to follow the terrain, you need to tell Blender to follow the rotation of the normal. And for that, you just need to connect rotation with your rotation. And now you are good to go. Whatever you do here, it's gonna be just fine. You see? It's following the terrain. Right? That's pretty much the basic, right? Now we want to randomize these guys, right? For that, we will use, we can do this in so many ways. The way I think that for me it works better here is, let me see, it's recording. The only way is, my way to do that is I want to reduce the amount of nodes that I want to play with. So I will just press Shift A again, go to Utilities, Random Value, right? Random Value. And for this random value, I will randomize the scale. Okay, if we put it here, we can see that we have minimum and maximum value, right? Minimum and maximum value, and that's cool, right? We can tell what's the maximum value, what's the minimum value. That's fine for now, right? Let's randomize the rotation. For the rotation, we press Shift A when we go to instances, rotate instances, right? And we just copy this value, random value, but if we just connect it here, we'll see that we randomize all over the place and there's no criteria. That's not what we want. We want to rotate based on the vectors. So now we have our vectors, and then we can select those guys, press -0, 1, right? This here, we can put it 0.1 and connect. You see? Now we have some random and all the axes, but we want to randomize mostly the z-axis, right? That's what we want most to randomize. All right? Unless you have rocks that can be rotated everywhere, and then you use the other way, right? Does that make sense? I think so. Okay. That's very much the basic things. Okay? The basic things. Now let's make this more interesting. I wanna create here one behavior that I was missing from Forest Pack in 3D Max, which is every time it gets close to the edge, close to the borders of the scatter, it becomes smaller. The geometry becomes smaller. Why I'm doing this? Because let's say I have these guys here, and I don't want these to be overpassing the edge of my mesh, right? I have a little bit of more control if I do that. In order to do that, we can go here and press Shift A again, and we go to proximity, look for proximity, geometry proximity, all right? And here in the geometry proximity, we will tell that all this scattering based on the scale that I previously told now will scale down according to the proximity with the edges, right? And I will explain you better this if I just increase this guy. Okay? So we go Shift A. Let's control the scales separately, right? Let's go for instances and then scale instances in PAN. And then now we are going to be controlling the scale based on the proximity, and we connect distance to here. Nothing will happen because we are not telling which geometry we should take in account for this calculation. And the geometry is the same geometry because we want that the object decrease the size from, we are telling the faces, but we want the edges. What is going to happen if we target here? Nothing will happen, but if we change face, because it's taking the whole face and the whole face is close to the object, there is no way around, and nothing will happen, right? But if we go to edge, now we see that as far the object goes from the edge, it becomes smaller, all right? But we want to have control over this, and the way we will control this is adding a number on top of the calculation, which is, now we go for a very important node here, which is in utilities called mat, right? We'll press mat. So now we are telling that if we go to we are basically increasing, adding this number to the whole scale. The number we are adding here, it's going to the whole scale. But we do not want the scale to be bigger than what we defined here. So we will clamp, right? After we clamp, we just achieved what we previously set it up here, right? We never can go beyond that. But we can go less. So that's how we will define how small we want our objects be to the edge. All right? That's very useful, my friends. That's very useful. Okay, now let's have it fun. Let's say we have this guy here. This is a geometry node here, but sometimes it's annoying if you want to go all these controllers to change everything, and you can label all of that. What I want to do and what I like to do, because sometimes I want to combine different geometry nodes in the same geometry node, so I will just select everything and press Ctrl G. So now I have created a group of these. If I press Tab, I go outside, and then I have my group. So my geometry node is way smaller now, right? If I click here and click Tab, I go inside the whole calculation. Okay? And does that make sense? I hope so. Okay, now we are going to have fun. We will start to have fun now. How? We will control the parameters here and not here. First of all, we just grab these guys here, these guys connect here, and then we have those inputs here. Those inputs will be showing here in group, all right? So for this, we will be controlling the scale, so we will get this guy and put scale min, all right? And this guy, scale max. I will show you how it works. If we go outside now, we will have these parameters here, scale min and scale max. Now it's showing in this node. so we can connect to the outside, and now the parameters is showing here, which is awesome. Alright, now we are going to create a very fancy way of controlling that here. So we have a random value here that's defining our scale min, and scale max. But if I want to scale all of them at once, but preserving the minimum and the maximum, it's gonna be painful, like being playing around with all of these all the time. So we will just create another math here, but instead of adding number on top of it, we will just multiply. So we will take this value and multiply it by this number, right? So we just scale up the whole general thing. And as before, we take this guy, bring it here, right? And here we will call this scale general. Okay? Scale general. Okay? So now let's control the rotation here as well. Okay? For the rotation, we will do similar thing, right? We will get the multiply, we will copy a multiply here, and this multiply will be controlling the rotation, which is this guy. But I want to control Z rotation separately, right? Why? Because I don't want to rotate these and start to rotate everything. You see? That's not what I want. So I want separate. So the only way I can do that is Shift A and go to vector, and now I will just take this guy and having them isolated here. So I will take this guy, bring it here, okay? Take this value, put it here, and here I will call this rotation Z. Rotation random Z. Rotation random Z. Okay? And let's say that we still want to control the other axis. Okay? We will take the same multiply, bring it here. Okay? With another connection here, and also another connection here, and we want the same randomization in these guys. You see, now we are controlling the randomization in all the axes, so that's good enough for us. See, but it's taking account just one side, and that's not what we want. It's taking account just one part of it, one part of this rotation, which is the maximum, but we want the minimum as well. This node we will call rotation random x y mean. Okay? Oh no, maximum. It wouldn't make a difference, it's just to be organized, right? So that will be the maximum. Now we take this guy, duplicate it again. We don't need to do this for this guy because we would not really yeah, sure, we can do that. Let's be organized, okay? Okay, let's be organized. We can take this. We leave it Z because we do not want to control Z here. And then now we take this guy, put it here, and now we put maximum. So now we have everything really randomized. Okay? Now we have everything really randomized because now we have a minimum value, so below 0, and now we have above 0. So this, in this case, we will take this guy, go here, just to name it properly, and now we will put min. So now we can control the rotation, we can control the scale, we can control the proximity to the edge, we can control very much everything. That's everything that we need to scatter our geometry on anything, right? Now I want to have here the possibility to decide which collection we will scatter. Okay? So let's take this guy, the collection, bring it here as well. And then we go to our node group, take this, put above everything. So it's like the first thing we'll show here. Now we can go out of our group like pressing tab. So now we have all of these here. All of these guys. We just need to connect all of them. Oh, we didn't create the proximity to the edge. Okay, let's do this. Now we can take this collection, put it on top. So that's all our parameters. All our parameters will be here. Rotate on random, minimum, maximum. Okay. Now it's like this. Then we can go minimum, we can go maximum. See? And we randomize and Z. We scale up in general. Scale, minimum and maximum. Okay? Minimum and maximum. But we forgot one thing, which is the proximity. How to control the proximity here. So we basically need to add this value there as well and call this one, I don't know how to call that, scale proximity. Scale proximity, right? Yeah, and we can even do this scale proximity, and we can even remove this guy here, so we do not have the proximity anymore, and we press the target here as well. So now we leave this and we have the scale proximity here. Let's just organize and put scale proximity on top of scale, on top of everything, because I want to add a target here as well. Alright? I want to put a target here as well. That's my target, okay? But I will have this out of my geometry node. Why? Because maybe I want to have another object as a target. Let's say if we have a ball here and we can drag our ball here and use this as a target. So if the ball gets close, you see, instead of use our own object, we can use this as a target, right? But for scattering, that's not the purpose. We can have the, how it calls, our plane. We can have that plane. We can have our plane as a target. Or we can have the ball, the sphere, relative, that's all. Okay? Let's remove the ball. Let's move here. For this is what we have. We just need to connect this guy here. And then voila. We have in here everything that we need here. Alright? So that it's telling this something here. So I will remove this target here. That's the issue. Okay? We don't have this issue anymore. That's our geometry nodes object, and you have this in your scene. Okay? Whatever you want to scatter here, you can scatter and just use this as a mesh, and it will replace the whole thing. And you just tell here. Okay? So we just need to connect now the scale or scale proximity. Oh yeah, I put it here. So you see, we can go like not have the proximity, and that's so cool because now you can pick up your mesh, you know, connect here. You see? And then if you scale proximity, it's gonna start to scale out based on the edge, and you'll tell me why this is scaling down, because we have an edge here, right? We have an edge. If we go here and remove this edge, like if we just press Ctrl X, remove this. This is not what we want, right? Let's select everything. Shift. Select everything. I like to go here and mesh and clean up. Limited dissolve. It will remove everything but keep the shape. I press here, but I have this here in my shortcuts. So I will limit the dissolve. Now that we do not have an edge here anymore, you see, we do not have that seam here anymore, right? If we start to scale based on the proximity, we will have this. Voila. That's nice, eh? That's so cool. We can randomize it even more, like. Now we have everything that we need right here. You see? So, what I would do, I would take this guy, right? I would take this guy. And having this always in my startup file, okay? Because I don't know how to use the asset browser. The new asset browser is here. I still didn't study that. Maybe that's going to be my next video. But the way you can do this is like going here, and by default you save this as your startup file. You have all your setup here, the things that you want, and then it will always open with this. For example, I have my setup file saved already. If I just open a new Blender, don't save, it will open with this already. So I don't need to set up anything anymore. Everything is here. You see? Everything I need is here. It's just a different, I call it scale proximity, scaled in borders for some reason. You know? But it's the same idea, alright? And whatever whatever I have in the collections here, let's say, let's bring, I don't know, one asset. Let's bring one asset here. Maybe plant or something. Let's see, plants. Which plant? This plant. So maybe it will append. Yeah, it appends. Yeah, okay. This one, maybe this one as well. Append. This is my own asset, right? This is nothing to do with anything. I just have these here because I had created before. So yeah, we have those assets. I don't even know if they're scaled. These scales are good. So if I put these inside one collection like something, and I want to scatter these here, I just need to have this. Select my collection, my geometry node collection, go here in my collection and then put something. And then instead of this, it will scatter this. Alright? That's the good thing. What is that? Is because of my scale, general scale is too high. Let's put something like this. And I have created this a long time ago, so the rotation and anything, it's proper set it up. But that's fine. I just need to set up the rotation, and it should be fine. You see? Now I have my collection here. Let's hide something. If you want to have different modes, you just copy this guy here, right? Just copy this geometry, this plane here, and here you can just, instead of you having, because now this collection, this geometry nodes is a copy of this, and you don't want that because you want to replace, you want to be able to change things here and there, and doesn't affect that. All right. The only thing you have to do is you have to go inside this geometry node and change the group. You change the group, right? You press here, so now it's not a copy anymore, but the group still is. The group still is a copy of this. So if you change this guy to something else, like, you are fine. You're good to go. No? So those are different things. Now, different collections. So you can play around here with your density, your scale, maximum, density, and they are different collections. Okay? And you can do this for everything, man. If you have a Suzanne, this for example, and you want to scatter this here, you just get the Suzanne, this guy, press Ctrl G, and combine both. So now you have this collection scattered on top of the Suzanne. Alright? And then you can amplify the density of it. Okay? In the render, see how it goes. Then you have everything here. Okay? So that's pretty much it. If you don't want to have this mesh here, you just select the mesh, delete this face. You have all of them in Suzanne. Suzanne is the monkey, okay? And then you can scale general. Let me show you. Rotate in Z, randomize the rotation in Z, randomize the minimum and the maximum. Okay, you can have the density minimum and maximum, the scale to the borders. You can just having non-reducing scale from the borders. You see, so you have all of them scale like general scale, Okay, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys like that, right? And whatever you do here, if you keep modifying this guy, if you keep changing, editing, whatever you do, it will follow. Okay? Whatever you do, the scatter goes. Okay? I hope you guys like it. And yeah, that's all.